Hello and welcome to day 2 of Azure Advent Calendar. I'm Simon and I'm going to be talking about Azure Pipelines. For more videos like this, check out azureadventcalendar.com, or for more information about me, I'm on Twitter at FunkySci1701, or my website is dev.funkysci1701.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build and deploy from GitHub and from Azure DevOps using the build and release pipelines. I'm going to be deploying to both Azure Web Apps and IaaS running on a virtual machine. As you can see, this is my application. It's a simple server-side Blazor.NET Core 3 website, very similar to what Microsoft has produced, except I've added some snow, and instead of talking about the weather, it talks about reindeers. I've already committed this to Azure DevOps. Let's have a look at the Azure DevOps account and see what we've got. So if we go into the repos, you can see the code that I've already committed. And now I'm going to go into the pipelines and create a new pipeline to get this built and then deployed. So click on Create Pipeline, select the Azure the DevOps repository that we've already added, and if we just select the top option, Azure DevOps will give us this nice YAML file that we can use. So let's give that a test and see what it does. And normally I would use pull requests for my changes, but for this example I'm not going to bother. Save me an extra step. Right, now we just need to watch and wait for this to run, and I'm impatient, so I will be clicking around all over the place. So you can see the steps on this one. It's checking out the code, updating the version of NuGet, doing a NuGet restore. It's going to do a build. It's going to do a test. I don't have any tests in my repository, but if I did, that's how that step would execute them. So now I'm doing the build. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Might need to edit some of this time out. Just don't know whether I can be bothered. Hey, so now it's finished. So yeah, as I said earlier, no tests found. So it won't be executing those, but it has succeeded, which is brilliant. So in order to pass this over to to the release pipelines, we need some build artifacts. So I'm going to go in and edit this pipeline, remove the test step because, well, we don't need it because I don't have any tests. And now we need to publish build artifacts. So I'm going to add that. I think that's all I need. Let's save and run it. Doobadoo. So And it's executing the same steps as we did before. Waiting for it to build. And this step is what's going to publish the build artifacts. And yes, it's published something. And now if we go back to this page, you can see something has been published. Let's click on there. And yay, Azure Advent Calendar. Let's create the zip file. And that's the website, and that's what we need to publish to deploy to an environment such as IaaS or if you're doing it onto Azure Web App. So let's go to release and create a new release pipeline. I'm going to do the simple one first. Azure App Service Deployment. Let's select the template for us. First, we need to add that artifact that we've just published. Right. You can set it to be deployed, to be released on a schedule or continuously deployment trigger. But for this, I'm going to put it on the CI. Only changes to the master branch in there. Now let's have a look at these steps. Azure subscription. Hopefully my free trial that I set up for the purpose of this is in here. And now we'll set the web app. I've already in Azure created 3 web apps. One for dev, one for test, and one for production. That way you can separate it out and only deploy stuff that you know you've tested into production. So let's set dev and select the zip file in this step. Click save. I'm not going to execute a new build. I'm just going to create a release using the last successful one. And it's queued up. And in a minute you'll be able to see the different steps that it's going to execute. It's starting, so it's going to download the artifact, and then it's going to pass that over to the web app on Azure and attempt to deploy it. Successfully updated and done. Yes. So if you go into the deploy step, there should be a link here. That's where it's deployed it. Let's copy that and put it here. And you should see, fingers crossed, a working website. Yay! So that's now that's publicly viewable in Azure. Running on a web app. Same functionality as the version that I have running locally. Right, now what? Let's do the same, but from GitHub. Very similar process. Go back to the build, new pipeline, instead of Azure, select GitHub. it'll connect, select my GitHub account. Top one is the Azure Advent Calendar one, and same build as before. Let's get rid of the test and let's add in publish artifacts. Add that in, save and run. This will now be committing to GitHub. There we go, it's coming along. Same steps as we've seen before, just about identical, except the location of the code. Instead of, let's go GitHub, and you can see this is the code that it's just connected to, and this is the code on Azure DevOps. So yeah, very similar code, but it's in two different places, and now we have two builds. That's the DevOps one, that's the GitHub one. I like to rename these, and I often find myself trying to think, where do you actually go to rename them? It's not always obvious. So, and it is in edit, I think. Triggers. Come on, triggers. Open. And it's here, yeah. The name. GitHub build. We'll not queue it up again. Save it. Oops, got the wrong place. Come back here. Yeah, GitHub build. We'll do the same for this one. Triggers. And we'll go to YAML and call this Azure DevOps build. And save that as well. Go back to pipelines, yes, and this GitHub build is now finished. And we've got a same artifact, and that could be plugged into the same release pipeline if we wanted. So next thing I'd like to do is set it up to deploy to different environments. So this one is going straight to the dev environment. So we want to add, let's clone it actually. Stage 1 we'll call dev. Stage 2 we'll call test. Stage 3 we'll call prod. And we'll set this one to go after test. And we'll add pre-deployment approvals. We'll select me as your Advent calendar. It needs to approve it. And we'll do the same for this one. So what I would expect to happen is developer checks in code, it deploys to the dev environment automatically. They can have a quick look at it, look if it looks okay. They can then approve it so it goes to the test environment, testers would look at it. If they're happy that it's doing what it should, they can approve it and it will go into production. Yeah, you can have different approvers at different stages, whatever works for your process, you can configure here. So test, we need to tweak this slightly to go, what's up here, isn't it? Instead of going to dev, we're going to go to the test website. Prod, we'll do the same, goes to prod, save that. Oh, I might actually deploy it. Right, let's create a release and I'll show you how the approval steps work. So we're deploying to dev. And if you want to look what it's doing, you can go in and see those steps. There, it's deployed to development. And now it's ready to go to test, but it needs an approval. So you can go check it's working. Yeah, looks good. Let's approve that. And now it's running through very similar steps. Doing the deployment now. Total changes, yay, looks like it's finished. So just change the URL to the test environment. Whoopie-doo, yeah, that's working. So now let's approve the last stage. Now, so you can see it's very simple to get something building and deploying to Azure. Now, what about IIS? How do we get it to deploy to IIS? Should we want to? Let's create a new release. That's the wrong place. I need a release pipeline. Even I get a bit confused sometimes to click on the wrong thing. Usually it's fairly straightforward. Right. So if I search for IIS in here, we don't have any database related to my application. So I'm going to go for this one, IIS website deployment. Apply. I'm going to add artifact. Now, do I want to go from the GitHub one, or do I want to go from the Azure DevOps one? They're the same, it doesn't really matter. Let's go and select GitHub for this one. Let's turn on CI. That just means that if you're checking into different branches or doing pull requests, it's not going to automatically try and deploy that to a release environment. Only stuff that's been merged into master will go. Right. Now, what do I need to do on here? Deployment group. I need to select the VM that I've already set up before, and IIS manage. Sync. pretty much select the artifact like we did with the Azure Web Apps ones. Take a line, just going into the default website. So I'll just quickly show you Azure. I've already created a VM called IAS and set up the Azure DevOps to talk to it. So I think that should be it. Let's click save. Let's call this IAS so we know we don't get confused which pipelines which. Let's create a release. Go to IAS, we'll see we've got an IP address here, so if we put that in the web browser, or we can use the DNS name that I've set up, either of those, we'll be able to browse to them and see the website has been deployed. So we click on here, we should be able to view logs, see that it's running in progress. Oh, it's already finished, done all the steps. Go copy that, paste that in there. We have my code running on a VM in IAS. Hardly any configuration was needed. Really straightforward. And every time we check in code, it'll run a build. Once it's merged into master, both of these will execute. Well, one's connected to GitHub because it's connected to Azure DevOps. Brilliant. Now, one last thing I wanted to look at was, at the moment, the release is all, and you have to edit it with via the website, via Azure DevOps itself. You have to select things, enter boxes and stuff and forms, and she isn't very, it doesn't live with the code, it lives in Azure DevOps. What we want is it to be part of the YAML config, the whole release pipeline stuff. Can we get that as part of the pipeline? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to grab my pipeline that I've set up previously. I'm going to paste it over the top of this. And now we have a YAML file that contains the build stage, and then deploy to dev stage, deploy to test stage, deploy to production stage. Right, so let's run this and I will show you how it works. Oh, authorization issue. What do I need to do? Click authorize resources. Right, let's see if can we try it again. So you can see it's now split into different stages. Each stage has a job in it. So build, is now running. Build is the same as it was before. So do a new git restore, do a build in a minute. Doobie-doo. Still as impatient as I was earlier. Right, while that's running, let's have a look at the structure of the YAML file. So the main difference is that we've now got this stages where you specify each stage. This section here, these steps are exactly the same as they were before. You give the job a name, build, and then for the next stage you say, well, what does that stage depend on? The previous stage, build, needs to have succeeded. So the deploy stage downloads the artifact and it then deploys the zip file to Azure. That's it, it's simple as that. And then it just repeat it for the two other environments. So let's see how far we've got with the build. You can see it's whizzing through dev. Now it's started to do test. Oh, it started to do test. Why is it not asked for approval? Well, we need to set that up now. We have something known as environments, dev, prod, and test. And we need to set up approvals and checks. Oh, we've already done that. Which bit is it that's missing then? We need to specify what environment. We need to specify that this build pipeline here uses these environments here. These are old. So I have yet another YAML file that I prepared earlier. So let's go and edit the pipeline again. Paste in. Now you'll see we are specifying build is exactly the same. In the jobs, we're setting the environment to be dev and setting it to run once. And for test, environment to test, and prod, environment prod. So let's save that. Now, when we get these environments, as I said earlier, got an approvals checks set up. So approver, I have to approve it deploying to that environment. So wait for the build to finish. Right, so that's the build. It should automatically deploy to dev. Yeah, that's correct. Let's deploy to Azure. And done. Now before it can deploy to test, it's going to need some kind of an approval. Check the pendings so that I can see. Ah, here it is. One approval needs to be reviewed before it's continued to deploy to test. I can add a comment if I want, or I can just click approve. They're very similar to what we had with the release pipeline, but now it's part of the build pipeline. One check passed. And it should start to deploy, yes. Very similar to what we had before. And again, to deploy to prod, requires approval. Now if we want to check that this is actually still working, give it a quick refresh. Working on the test site, dev, and the dev site is still working as well. And why not? Let's have a look at prod. So there you have it. Using Azure Pipelines to deploy from GitHub and from Azure DevOps to IIS and to web apps, and also having it as a combined build and release with approvals built into the YAML file. Pretty impressive, pretty straightforward to set up as well. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please do check out the other videos that are available on Azure Advent Calendar, AzureAdventCalendar.com for the other videos. And if you want to contact me for any reason, I'm at FunkySci1701 on Twitter, and my website is dev.FunkySci1701.com. Okay, thank you. Bye.